So another chapter in Florida's mall history is coming to an end. The Seminole Towne Center Mall, which is located in Sanford, it was once a bustling hub, and now it's saying that they're going to close at the end of the month here in January 2025. Now, this mall once had it all. It was amazing. I remember when it opened back in the mid-90s, and now it's empty, and 90% of its storefronts are vacant, and as you can see, it looks very depressing. In its prime, it had some big-name retailers. It also had the only Parisian store, which was an upscale department store that kind of competed with Bloomingdale's. Unfortunately, it got bought out and merged, and that closed down quite a bit ago, and it really never recovered after that. That was one of the anchor stores that was more interesting. The other stores that were left were pretty generic, your JCPenney's, your Sears. There was nothing that really stood out at this mall, and that was an issue to it because obviously why would you go there if all the stores are the same as every other mall? The other issue is it was only 10 minutes away from the Altamont Mall, both located on I-4, and you could just go a little bit further to a larger, nicer mall with more upscale stores. So the Seminole Towne Center Mall really looked kind of drab compared to that. Now aesthetically it looks great, but it was a smaller mall and there was nothing unique in it. When we heard the place was closing, my friend Tim and I and his wife Quinny and their daughter came out, and we did one last loop around the mall to take a look at it before it was gone. Now there was a couple of stores that were still hanging on. The Hot Topic is still open. It is really weird to see it half empty. They were having a clearance sale trying to get rid of everything before they had to close up. There was also this really great children's boutique that had these really cool backpacks, some really unique brands. Unfortunately, when I talked to them, they really didn't have a plan as to what they were going to do, and this seemed to be a theme across a lot of the vendors there. We went into this olive oil store where they make their own olive oil, and again, they didn't have a lot of plans as far as relocating. They did say that they were going to go to the local farmers market and sell their goods there. However, obviously that's only 2 days a week. It is not the same as having a physical store. I felt really bad for them because they didn't seem to have much of a plan, and they seemed to be kind of depressed about it, which is totally understandable. Tim and I did buy a lot from them, and the reason being is we do cook. Their prices were good with the clearance, and I try to help and support local businesses. Now, there was one store that was an Eastern-inspired store run by an Indian family. They sold this hippie stuff with crystals and tie-dye things. Now, they said that they had another store at the Oviedo Mall, which is not too far away, and that they were just going to move everything over. They actually had the most healthy plan because they already had another store. And they said that the store here was actually pretty much used as storage, so they weren't super concerned. They seem to be the most upbeat people in the entire mall that I talked to, mainly because they did have some type of plan. However, they did give us a lot of background information as to the level of mismanagement that the mall owners had and the reason why the mall was actually failing. So it was widely reported on the news that the mall actually had their power cut off about 6 months ago, and the reason why is a lot of the stores were actually not paying their rent. Apparently the management was not collecting rent, whether the stores were just doing so poorly or they just refused to pay. I don't know what the issue was, and so their power was actually cut off for about 3 or 4 days. Obviously that greatly affects small businesses because they had to close. Also, it really scared a lot of the national chains, and a lot of them pulled out because they were uncertain as to the stability of the mall, and rightfully so. Apparently Costco bought the mall, and they're going to put a Costco there. They're going to get rid of most of the actual center of the mall. A lot of the anchor stores are going to stay, apparently, like the Dillard's, the Elevate, and a couple other places. They also announced that they're going to put in some housing, and I'm not exactly sure whether it's going to be condos or apartments. It will be interesting to see how they integrate the housing with the existing mall structure. I thought this was going to be my last visit to this mall, and then my friend Ashley messaged me and said that she's going to a car show at the same mall later this week. So I actually came back, and they had a huge car show at this place called Elevate, which was actually blocked off from the inside of the mall and only has exterior entrances. Turns out Elevate is a huge entertainment complex. It has 2 floors, has an indoor go-kart track, has a bowling alley, has laser tag, a full bar, and a very large arcade. It was very impressive. Apparently that is actually staying. It's not going away. I was impressed with it. It was actually the nicest indoor entertainment place that I've seen in a long time. As far as the car show goes, it was quite impressive. There was a lot of people, a lot of cars. It was actually a great way to end my tour of this mall on a happy note instead of something very sad and somber. It was really cool to see a lot of people just having a good time, playing music, and enjoying the local community. That's the kind of stuff that I much rather see than dying malls.